Anything else like that when it comes to shipping or logistics from a strategy perspective? So you talked about being mindful of what you're producing, being mindful of making sure that you can sell the same SKU in different areas. What other strategies do you see best in class brands handle?
From a shipping perspective, I would say, again, this goes back to compliance. That's probably beating a dead horse, but I think it's something that's near and dear to us is what are the labeling standards for Amazon versus Walmart versus a Target? Really understanding what are the pallet requirements. There's tons of different, I think, things that logistic carriers expect, but it's also something that the retailer has specific expectations on. So again, it's not going to be the same of what you're doing day to day with D2C. And the sooner that you can understand that, the better. Because if not, again, it's going to be something that you're going to be deducted for in the future. So I think labeling is a big one that we constantly see. And those will unfortunately become even shortage deductions or substitution deductions. The more clear that you can make, let's say for Harry's razors, for instance, like all those are going to look very similar in the way that they're packaged. Is it a just color sticker on the box? Talk to your carriers, talk to your 3PLs, make sure you're having these conversations that they understand what's being packaged and what's going out the door, and are they receiving it appropriately? These are all the things that you need to do, I think, in the very early days so that you understand that like things are coming through the pipeline appropriately. Stacey, I'm sure, has some other nuggets too.
Yeah, no, I think Jessica hit the nail on the head. Is just really understanding your business. Just as an example, Walmart has they call it the secondary packaging standards guide. It's about 200 pages, which is insane. But take the time to read through it because as Jessica said, like if you make a mistake across one item, but then you do it across however many SKUs you're sending across however many DCs, across however many stores, that problem can become really large really fast. But I would add to what Jessica's saying, not only do you want to know things up front, but also adopting a mindset of continuous learning. We say at SupplyPike, deductions and fines are just indicators of what is happening further up in your supply chain. So obviously do everything you can to get everything right the first time, but deductions, compliance, fines, those are inevitable. They are going to happen, period, full stop, but learn from them, right? So make sure that you are working continuously with your teams to understand, again, why did we get this deduction? How often are we getting this deduction? Not only by count, but what's really impacting us monetarily. Because you may have a bunch of, let's say, invoice related deductions, but it's only costing you a tenth of a shortage related deduction, for example. Really digging into that and then translating what you're learning back across your teams to go, okay, guys, we're getting killed with shortage related deductions. It looks like it's code 22s and 24s. What can we do to examine what is happening further upstream? And I know Jessica has utilized like amazing workflows at Harry's, for example. Hey, if we see this sort of deduction happen at this retailer, this is the root cause and this is what we do about that. I didn't know if you wanted to kind of share that, Jessica.
Yeah, I was going to also just add proof documentation. So whether or not your transportation is collect or prepaid, so collect world, you'll have bill of ladings, and on the prepaid side, you'll have proof of deliveries, PODs, keeping those in accessible manner so that in the future you can go back and say, no, we shipped you 100 cartons of this item. That is going to be extremely crucial for you to have that document in the future. So it's like storing those and working with your 3PLs and warehouses to maintain those, your carriers, in an easy, accessible manner and way indefinitely is going to be money in the bank for your business and your supply chain team in the future. So I'd say if you don't currently have those or have access to them, find a way to get them, set up a process. It's going to help in the long run.
There's a better way than Gmail or Dropbox.
Yeah, exactly. Or like them scanning them in manually and then emailing them to you. Yeah, exactly. I think that's always the funny thing is we work with so many suppliers and more often than not, it's just such an outdated process, unfortunately. Yes. And then I would just add to Stacey's point. Yeah, root causation is a big piece. And this is again where I think Stacey was talking about the teams and supply chain teams of the future, not being afraid to cross those lines between teams and working collectively. And I think that's the only way in which your business is going to operate in a healthy manner and really make sure that you're operating as efficiently as possible and communicating what's going on. Because if not, and you're just in these silos, no one knows what's going on and you're not fixing anything, even when, you have these deductions and fines that are those signals telling you what's going on. So making sure that a problem comes in, you get a fine and you go, what happened? Okay, we shipped this late, but who shipped it late? Is it the carrier's fault? Did we route it incorrectly internally when we were creating that order? And then keeping track of that and then trying to apply that solution to not just that retailer. Chances are, if you're doing that one thing for that one retailer, you might be doing that same thing across other retailers. So applying that to the rest of your business to learn how can we make our process more efficient and hopefully stop that problem in the front end so that you're not having to face it down the road again. But a new supply chain problem will probably be coming soon. So only another thing for us to look forward to.
Yeah, that's what we call job security.
Exactly.
It's so interesting because I think a lot of times people may think, oh, I'm selling shampoo or whatever widget I have on my e-commerce site. It's the exact same thing. Just instead of shipping a unit, I'm shipping pallets to a Walmart or Target. But it's really a completely different playbook and completely different pressures and issues.